Sean is in Fairfield, Connecticut. Hey, Sean, what's up?
Hey, Dave. Hey, Anthony. How are you guys?
Doing well, man. How are you?
Good, thanks. I was looking to get your guys' advice on something. I graduated college back in 2019, and back then I was a little bit ignorant about student loans, and I had about $150,000. I was lucky to get a job and be employed before the pandemic struck, and I'm fortunate to have an income of around $75,000. I've been living with family rent-free for now, but as I approach the end of my second year living with them, I'm looking forward to moving out and getting out on my own. Financially, however, doing out my budget, I feel stretched thin, and I feel like I'm unable to afford a rent payment along with everything else. After student loans, 401k contributions, some savings, my car payment, insurance, and food costs, I'm left with around $12,000 a month, which in my area is sometimes not enough, sometimes just enough for a rent payment. So my question to you guys is, what can I do in order to move myself into a better financial position where I can afford to pay rent and continue to stay within the bounds of my wage? Or do you guys think I need to consider making a professional movement in order to get a wage boost?
Well, here's the very first thing I want to tell you is that you said something about your student loans, 401 contributions, your 401k contributions. I want you to pause all that. I want you just to focus on baby step number 2. Okay, so we're not going to make any contributions. And you sound like a very smart young man, so I know you're probably thinking, well, wait, I'm missing out on the compound interest. Well, no, you're not. You technically are, but then you're going to make that up in the long term after you pay off all your debt. So what I want you to do is to just pause everything else and focus on just your student loan debt and all of your debt. Now, cost of living, I think we do need to look at that to see where else can you move into. I'm not even opposed to you having roommates which you're in your age bracket right now to kind of lower your expense a little bit on your living expenses. I do like the fact that you're moving out of your parents' house to start your adult manhood, but maybe you can find you a roommate to kind of help with that rent as we're going along this baby step 2 journey.
What do you owe on your car?
I owe probably about $12,000 on the car.
When did you buy that?
I bought that August of last year.
Okay. All right. Well, rule number 1 for getting out of debt is don't take on more.
Yeah, it was sort of required for my work. My 98 Jeep was getting a bit unreliable, so I needed something that could match my commute.
Yeah. No, it wasn't. Your 98 Jeep was getting you there, and it wasn't required. You just got a commute. You're just driving to work. Nobody requires you to get a car to drive to work. You just had to have something reliable. Now, if your 98 Jeep wasn't working, you can move up. But you're not going to get rid of the student loan debt until you take debt off the table. You cannot solve your problems with debt. They make your problems bigger. Mm-hmm. And that's what the car purchase did. So, if you didn't have a car payment, there'd be a lot more room in your budget. There'd be a lot more things to talk about here. You didn't buy a super expensive car, so it's not something we have to sell today to get rid of it. But that decision-making paradigm's got to shift. If you want to get ahead with money, you want to get rid of the $150,000 in student loan debt, you're going to have to live on nothing, take on roommates, get rid of this car payment as soon as you can. That's the first thing. And then begin to pay on the student loans as hard as you can. Now, if you can make a move in your field and be in a less expensive area and make more money, obviously those two things are going to combine to get you out of debt even faster. And so we want to do that. We want to get rid of the car payment, but you cannot be borrowing any more money.
Yeah.
You've got to stop. It is the only way out is to stop.
Yeah.
It's rule number 1. And you can't come up with any rationalizations or justifications for any reason. You have to stop cold. Yeah. And that's your only shot on that. Changes everything when you just take it off the table.
It really does, Dave. When you take that off of the table, you start seeing more creative things and how you can really go about attacking the debt, not just attacking the debt, but even going after all of your dreams. But if you keep racking up debt, saying I want to get out of debt, but then you're racking up debt, you're just playing that circle, and it's not going to go anywhere.
So, Sean, hang on. I'm going to send you a copy of our book, The Total Money Makeover, which 8 million people have read. And it will show you step by step exactly what to do and how to lay these baby steps out that we're talking about. Baby step 1 is you save $1,000. 2 is we're going to list these 2 debts, smallest to largest, car, then student loan, and we're going to attack with a vengeance. And we're not doing anything except getting out of debt. We're taking extra jobs, we're changing jobs, we're taking on roommates, we're doing everything. And you're going to be in this a while, and so I am moving out while you're doing this.
Now, Dave, let me ask you this question as a father. Your son has $150,000 in debt. He's living at home with you. Are you still asking him to leave after a year being out of school, or would you allow him to stay in? Say, all right, if I see a clear game plan where you can get this off within 2-3 years, are you okay with that as a father?
No.
Gotcha.
No, you don't hit the road.
Yeah.
Because something happens when you move out of the house,
right?
And you start to handle this situation. Now, again, you're always welcome. If you're wounded, if there's a horrible life event and you need a safe place, I'm not a hard butt in that regard. But $150,000 making $75 is not. You're not going to do this quick.
You're right.
And so you need to get out there and start shoveling.
Yeah.
And figuring out what you're going to do from that. That's not being abusive. It's just when he starts owning this, all the different parts of it, emotionally, spiritually, and everything else, his tactics will change, and then he'll be a debt-free screamer on the stage.
Yes, sir.
And that's what'll happen.
And I was asking that question because I'm pretty sure some parents are listening and saying, well, how come he just can't stay at home?
Yeah.
He has all this debt.
If he could do it for 4 months, yeah.
Right.
but if that did it, but 4 months or even a year doesn't make any difference here.
Right.
It does not change the math that substantially.
Exactly.
And so, young couple, same age bracket, on the debt-free stage, last hour, you know what they did?
Yep.
Lots and lots of overtime.
Lots of it.
Raised their income $40,000 in the household within 6 months.
And then
that's what happens when you got, okay, I've got to do this.
Yes.
And your brain starts going, I got to work someplace more or different, or I got to work more, or I got to sell this thing, or whatever it is. You start laying it all out.
Yeah.
And the weight of being on the extra weight of being on that island and saying, oh, wait a minute, this is real.
And it's all on me.
Long Ranger's not coming. I got to do this.
Yes, sir.
And then you get going.
Yeah.
That's what happens.